if you were born middle class. This system was never built to make you rich. You can work hard, get a degree, save money, and still end up broke. Robert Kiyosaki warned about this years ago, and almost nobody listened. Robert Kiyosaki calls it the middle class trap. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize they're in it. Let me paint you a picture. You graduate. You get the job. Maybe it's decent pay, maybe it's not. But you're told this is success. You're told if you work hard, save money, maybe get a promotion or two, you'll be fine. You'll retire comfortably. You'll have security. Except, none of that is actually true. Because here's what really happens. You get that paycheck, and before it even touches your hands, a third of it is gone. Taxes. Then there's rent or a mortgage. Then the car payment. Then insurance, groceries, electricity, water, phone bill, internet. Maybe student loans. Maybe credit card debt. And after all of that, what's left? A couple $100 if you're lucky. So you save it. You're responsible. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And you feel good about that. But here's the thing Kiyosaki understood decades ago. You're not building wealth. You're surviving. And there's a massive difference. The middle class has been taught to exchange time for money. That's the foundation of everything. You go to school, you learn to be a good employee, you get a job, and you trade your hours for a paycheck. And that sounds reasonable, right? Except it's a trap, because time is the one thing you can never get back. The wealthy don't trade time for money. They buy assets that generate money while they sleep. The middle class buys liabilities and calls them assets. And this is where everything breaks. Let's talk about your car. You probably think it's an asset. It's not. It takes money out of your pocket every single month. Gas, maintenance, insurance, depreciation. That's a liability. Your house. Most people think that's an asset too. But if you're paying a mortgage, property taxes, repairs, and it's not generating income, it's a liability. Kiyosaki's definition is brutally simple. If it puts money in your pocket, it's an asset. If it takes money out, it's a liability. And the middle class is drowning in liabilities while calling them investments. Here's the part most people ignore. The system you were raised in was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you useful. Schools don't teach financial literacy. They teach obedience. Show up on time. Follow the rules. Get good grades so you can get a good job. A job where someone else controls your schedule, your income, and your future. And if you do everything right, if you're a model employee, maybe you'll get a gold watch and a pension. Except pensions are disappearing. Job security is a myth. And inflation is eating your savings faster than you can build them. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you make $60,000 a year. Sounds decent, right? Middle class income. After taxes, you're taking home maybe $42,000. That's $3,500 a month. Rent or mortgage, let's say $1,500. Car payment, $300. Insurance, $200. Groceries, $400. Utilities, $150. Phone, internet, subscriptions, another $150. We're at $2,700. You've got $800 left. Now add in any debt payments, medical expenses, unexpected costs. You're lucky if you save $200 or $300 a month. That's $3,600 a year. And that's if nothing goes wrong. No emergencies. No laughs. No surprises. You're one bad month away from being broke. That's not wealth. That's a tightrope. And this is why people stay stuck. Because the middle class has been conditioned to fear risk. You're taught that safety is the goal. Get the stable job. Don't rock the boat. Don't start a business. That's too risky. Don't invest in real estate. You might lose money. Don't try anything outside the system because the system is safe. Except the system isn't safe. The system is designed to keep you dependent. Dependent on a paycheck. Dependent on a boss. Dependent on a government that prints money every time there's a crisis, which devalues everything you've saved. Kiyosaki talks about the cash flow quadrant. On one side, You've got employees and self-employed people. These are people who trade time for money. On the other side, you've got business owners and investors. These are people who use systems and assets to generate income. The middle class lives on the left side of the quadrant. And no matter how hard you work on that side, you'll never be free because you're always trading time, and time runs out. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Most people know this. Deep down, they know they're not building wealth. They know they're stuck, but they don't change because change is terrifying. It's easier to keep doing what you've always done. Keep showing up to the job. Keep paying the bills. Keep telling yourself that one day it'll get better. That one day you'll have enough. But that day never comes because the rules of the game are rigged. The middle class pays the most in taxes. The wealthy have accountants, tax shelters, loopholes. They play by a different set of rules. And the middle class doesn't even know the game exists. Let me tell you what the wealthy do differently. They acquire assets, real assets, rental properties that generate monthly income, businesses that operate without them, stocks that pay dividends, intellectual property that earns royalties. They build systems. The middle class buys things, a bigger house, a nicer car, a vacation they can't afford, and they finance it. They go into debt for liabilities. The wealthy go into debt for assets. They use leverage to buy things that make them money. The middle class uses debt to buy things that lose value. And here's the brutal part. The middle class thinks they're being smart. They think saving money in a bank account is responsible. But inflation is running at 3, 4, 5% a year. Your savings account pays you 0.5% interest. You're losing money every single year just by being responsible. The wealthy understand this. They don't keep cash sitting around. They move it into assets. They protect it. They grow it. The middle class hoards cash and wonders why they're falling behind. This is where everything changes if you let it. Kiyosaki doesn't say the middle class is stupid. He says they're uneducated, financially uneducated, and that's not their fault. They were never taught. School taught them to memorize dates and formulas, but never taught them how money actually works. Never taught them about taxes, about cash flow, about the difference between earned income and passive income. And because they don't know, they keep making the same mistakes. They keep working harder, thinking that's the answer. But working harder in the wrong system just makes you tired. It doesn't make you rich. Let's talk about taxes for a second, because this is huge. When you're an employee, you get taxed first. The government takes its cut before you even see your paycheck. Then you pay your bills with what's left. That's how the middle class operates. The wealthy operate in reverse. They earn money through a business or investment. They pay their expenses, and then they pay taxes on what's left. The tax code is written to favor business owners and investors. It's not a secret. It's just that nobody teaches you this. So you keep playing by the employee rules while the wealthy play by a completely different set of rules. And they win. Every single time. Here's the part that makes people angry. The middle class blames the rich. They say the system is unfair. And you know what? They're right. It is unfair. But complaining doesn't change anything. The wealthy didn't write the rules, but they learned how to use them. And the middle class refuses to learn. They'd rather stay comfortable, stay safe, stay stuck. Because learning means admitting you were wrong. It means taking responsibility. And that's hard. So what's the alternative? Do you just accept this? Do you keep working the 9 to 5 until you're 65 and hope there's something left? Or do you start thinking differently? Kiyosaki's answer is simple. Financial education. Learn how money works. Learn about assets and liabilities. Learn about cash flow. Learn about taxes. Learn about investing. Not from some guru selling a course. From books. From experience. From actually trying things and failing and learning. The middle class is terrified of failure. The wealthy see failure as education. That's the difference. Let me give you another example. Two people, same income. Both make $60,000 a year. Person A saves 10%, puts it in a savings account, lives within their means. Person B takes that same 10%, uses it as a down payment on a rental property. That property generates $500 a month in cash flow after expenses. That's $6,000 a year. After 10 years, person A has saved $60,000 minus inflation. Person B has built equity in a property, generated $60,000 in cash flow, and now has an asset worth more than they paid for it. Same income, completely different outcomes. That's the power of financial education. But here's what stops most people. Fear. Fear of losing money. Fear of making a mistake. Fear of what people will think. The middle class cares so much about what other people think that they'd rather stay poor than risk looking foolish. They'd rather have the approval of people who are also broke than take a chance on building something real. And that's the saddest part, because the only person who loses in that scenario is them. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to become a real estate investor or start a business. That's not the point. The point is mindset. The middle class has an employee mindset. They think in terms of salary, benefits, job security. The wealthy have an investor mindset. They think in terms of cash flow, leverage, systems. And you can have a wealthy mindset without being wealthy yet. It starts with how you see money. It starts with how you make decisions. It starts with realizing that the path you're on right now, the one you were told to follow, doesn't lead where you think it does. Kiyosaki tells a story about his two dads. His real dad, highly educated, worked his whole life, died broke. His best friend's dad didn't finish school, built businesses, died wealthy. Same amount of time, same amount of effort, completely different results. Why? Because one understood how money worked and the other didn't. One played the game, the other got played by it. And that's what's happening to the middle class right now. They're working hard, doing everything they were told to do, and they're still losing. Not because they're lazy, not because they're dumb, but because they're playing a game they don't understand. Here's the thing nobody wants to hear. You can't work your way to wealth as an employee. You can have a comfortable life. You can pay your bills. You can save a little, but you will never be rich, because rich isn't about a salary. Rich is about assets. It's about cash flow. It's about systems that work without you. And that requires a completely different approach. It requires learning skills that school never taught you. It requires taking risks that feel uncomfortable. It requires changing the way you think about money. And this is why most people won't do it. Because it's easier to stay where you are. It's easier to complain. It's easier to blame the system, the government, the billionaires. And look, I'm not defending billionaires. I'm just saying blaming them doesn't change your situation. Taking responsibility does. Learning does. Action does. But action is scary. So people stay stuck. They stay in jobs they hate. They stay in debt. They stay one paycheck away from disaster. And they convince themselves that this is just how life is. But it's not. Not for everyone. So people figure it out. Some people break free. Not because they're smarter. Not because they're luckier. But because they change how they think. They stopped seeing money as something you earn from a job and started seeing it as something you build through assets. They stopped trading time for money and started building systems. And their lives changed. Not overnight. Not easily. But they changed. So where does that leave you? Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can keep doing what you've been doing. Keep working the job. Keep paying the bills. Keep hoping things will get better. Or you can admit that the system you were raised in isn't working. You can admit that the middle-class playbook is broken. And you can start learning a new way. Not from me. Not from some guru. But from people who've actually built wealth. From books. From experience. From trying things and learning from your mistakes. Here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about getting rich quick. This isn't about some magic formula. This is about waking up to the reality that the path you're on doesn't lead to freedom. It leads to more of the same. More stress, more bills, more years of your life traded for a paycheck. And if that's okay with you, fine. But if it's not, if you want something different, you have to be willing to do something different. And that starts with education. Financial education. Learning how money actually works. Not how your parents told you it works. Not how school told you it works. How it actually works in the real world. The wealthy know something the middle class doesn't. Money is a tool. It's not the goal. It's a tool you use to buy your time back, to build freedom, to create options. The middle class treats money like it's scarce. They hoard it. They fear losing it. The wealthy know money is abundant if you know how to create value. And that's the shift. That's the difference. The middle class works for money. The wealthy make money work for them. And until you understand that difference, until you really understand it, you'll stay stuck. So here's my question for you. Are you okay with where you are? Are you okay with the trajectory you're on? Because if you're not, you need to start making different choices. Not tomorrow, not next month. Now, start reading, start learning, start looking at your life through a different lens. Stop buying liabilities and calling them assets. Stop trading your time for money and thinking that's the only option. Start asking better questions. How can I generate income without working more hours? What assets can I acquire that produce cash flow? How do the wealthy actually build wealth? And look, I know this is uncomfortable. I know it's easier to stay in denial, to keep telling yourself that you're doing fine, that you're being responsible, that you're on the right path. But deep down, you know the truth. You know you're not building wealth. You know you're trapped, and you can stay there, or you could do something about it. That's the choice. That's always the choice. If this hit you in a way you didn't expect, if something in this made you feel uncomfortable or challenge the way you think about money, do me a favor. Subscribe, because this channel isn't about hype. It's not about quick money or magic strategies. It's about the truth, the uncomfortable, often harsh truth about how money works and why most people stay broke. And if you're ready to hear more of that, you know what to do. Now I want to hear from you. What's the biggest lie you were told about money growing up? Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because the more we talk about this stuff, the more people wake up. And maybe, just maybe, we can stop the cycle. But it starts with you. It starts with being honest. And it starts right now.